While celebrating my birthday with my wife's family, I stepped away to use the bathroom. That's when I heard her say, "He's 40 and has nothing to show for it. I'm just waiting until I can cash out his life insurance." Her mother didn't even flinch. "You really married a pathetic excuse for a man, sweetie." They all agreed like it was nothing. I walked back in, smiled through dessert like I hadn't heard a thing. A month later, they all wished they had kept their mouths shut. So yeah, I guess I'm not the type to really post stuff like this. I mean, I'm not usually out here looking for sympathy or whatever, but honestly, I don't know what to do with all of this except throw it out here and see if anyone gets it. Maybe someone out there has had something this nuts happen to them. Or maybe you all just want a train wreck to read. Either way, buckle up. I've never really liked birthdays. Nothing tragic, just always felt like a weird day where people pretend to care more than they do. This one was different though because my wife, Kylie, age 32, and yeah, I know that sounds like a fake name, but it's real, went all out inviting me to her parents' house for dinner. Which, if you know me, is just Doug. Her parents have always been these weirdly formal judgy people, the type who'd rather talk about what's proper than actually get to know you. I'm not saying I'm some saint. I'm not. I can be a pain, but I am who I am. We met in a way that's probably not standard. I know everyone's always talking about meeting at work or through friends or whatever, but we actually met because I used to run this local Discord group for people who wanted to play super niche strategy board games. She joined. We argued about rules for like 2 straight weeks. Then she showed up in person to a game night and brought her own custom dice and snacks and just dominated the whole session. So that was that. It was never some fairy tale, but we had our thing and honestly, it worked for us. Or so I thought. So this year, her parents decide they want to host me for my birthday, meaning they want to show off their house and their new espresso machine that's apparently better than whatever anyone else has. And they want Kylie to make this big show of being the perfect wife or whatever. We show up. I bring some dumb cookies from that bakery everyone's obsessed with. They're fine, not amazing. And immediately, the comments start. Her mom, Marjorie, points out that my shirt could use ironing. Her dad, Stanley, who's always got something to say about real men and their jobs, asks if I found anything more stable yet, like he's checking a weather app. Kylie is just kind of scrolling her phone and acting bored, and I honestly just want to eat and get out. The weird part was Kylie was acting extra cold, like not just bored, but actually annoyed. Usually, she'll at least fake some interest, but this time she's picking at her food, rolling her eyes at stuff I say, and whispering things to her mom that I can't quite catch. I started getting this feeling like I was in the way, like I was the tag along at someone else's party. I tried to make some joke about the espresso being strong enough to wake the dead, and Stanley just snorted and said I'd need something stronger to get a real job. Classic. Anyway, I needed a break, so I excused myself to go to the bathroom. It's this tiny guest bathroom just off the kitchen, literally like 2 steps away, and the door doesn't really close right, so you can hear everything if people talk loud. I'm washing my hands and I hear Kylie's voice, and I swear I almost thought I misheard her, but she's saying loud to her mom and dad, and her mom's voice is even louder. 40 years old and still a complete failure. I'm counting down the days until I can collect his life insurance, and then her mom jumps in, not missing a beat, like she's been waiting to say it. "You married a real piece of shit, honey." And then, this is the part that really got me. They all just kinda hum and nod, like this is a normal Tuesday night. Nobody laughs, nobody says, "Hey, that's too far." It's just accepted. I just stood there listening, trying to figure out if this was some kind of messed up inside joke, but there's no way. They just kept going, talking about how I'm dead weight, and how Kylie deserves better, and how maybe it's time to rethink the whole situation. At one point, Stanley said something about me being a leech, and Marjorie said I was lucky to have Kylie at all. I know I should have stormed in there and started yelling, but I just felt this weird cold calm come over me. I finished up, washed my hands twice, dried them real slow. I wanted to kick the door open and scream, but I didn't. Not because I was scared, because I wanted to see how far they'd go, so I walked back out. Kylie's sitting at the table, fake smiling, scrolling on her phone. Marjorie is pouring more wine. Stanley is pretending to check his watch, but obviously watching me. I sit down, say thanks for dinner, ask for a little more of that weird salad with the pomegranate seeds, which I hate, but whatever, and just watch them. Kylie tries to act normal, but I can see her glancing at me, like she's waiting for me to say something. I don't. I just keep eating, nodding, smiling, making small talk about the weather. They act like nothing happened. Dessert comes out, Some overdone cake with way too much frosting, and Marjorie is cutting slices, talking about how not everyone gets to have family around for their birthday. Stanley says something about how some people don't appreciate what they have. Kylie just sort of checks out, shoves her cake around, and barely looks at me. At one point, I made some joke about how if I keep eating like this, I'll need to increase my life insurance, and I swear. Kylie choked on her cake. Marjorie laughed a little too loud. Stanley just stared. When we left, Kylie barely said a word. In the car, I asked her if she had a good time, and she just shrugged, said it was fine. I said I thought her parents seemed even more on edge than usual, and she snapped at me, said maybe if I wasn't so embarrassing, they wouldn't have to walk on eggshells. I asked her what that was supposed to mean, and she just slammed the car door when we got home. I tried to let it go for a few hours, but I couldn't. I waited until she was changing in the bedroom and brought it up, asked her point blank why she and her parents think I'm such a loser. And what's this crap about life insurance? She just stared at me for a second, then laughed and said I must have misheard. When I pressed her, she got real nasty, said I was paranoid, said maybe if I brought something real to the table, they'd respect me more. I told her I heard every word and she didn't even deny it, just rolled her eyes, said maybe I should grow up and deal with reality. Then she threw her hairbrush at the dresser and walked out of the room. I sat there for a minute, phone in my hand, not really sure if I was about to text my brother, my mom, or just someone to tell them I don't think I can do this anymore. What really gets me is that this isn't some big surprise if I'm honest. There's always been this thing with Kylie's family, like I was always on trial. I just never thought they hated me enough to say that stuff out loud. And the way Kylie didn't even try to defend me. Yeah, that was something else. I know some people would say just leave, move on, whatever, but I'm not letting them get away with this. Not after all the crap I've put up with. Not after all the times I paid for their stuff or helped out or bit my tongue when Stanley made his little speeches. I'm not leaving with my tail between my legs. I'm going to make sure they regret every word, and I'm not going to wait around for some apology that's never coming. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do it, but I'm not playing nice anymore. Next time they see me, it's not going to be as the guy they can laugh at behind my back. I'll update if anyone cares, but honestly, this is more for me than them. If you've made it this far, thanks. If you've got ideas, I'm all ears. I'm just done being the joke in someone else's family group chat. Update 1. Okay, so here we go. Part 2, I guess, since way more people messaged than I ever expected. Not going to lie. Reading the comments and DMs made me laugh and also made me seriously rethink how much I let people walk all over me. So thanks for that, random internet strangers. Anyway, this is what happened after that birthday dinner. I said I'd do something and I wasn't kidding. I'm not going to be the joke anymore, and I'm definitely not letting her or her family get away with this. So after that whole train wreck of a night, things at home got weird. Not like big fights every day, but Kylie was just colder than usual and she barely talked to me unless she was asking about something she wanted, like if I'd paid the card or if I'd pick up her dry cleaning. She left her stuff all over the place, shoes in the hallway, coffee cups on the bathroom counter. You get it. And then would sigh dramatically if I didn't clean up. She spent more time on her phone, texting her mom and Stanley in that family group chat she never lets me see. And every now and then she'd just kind of snicker at something and not tell me what was so funny. I started to notice she'd get weirdly defensive about money. I'd ask if she'd paid the utilities since we always split it or thought we did, and she'd just say it was handled. Sometimes our joint account would have less than I expected and she'd get mad if I asked about it, saying I was being controlling. One time, I found a receipt from some fancy spa with her mom's name on it, paid with the card we both use, and she just shrugged and said she deserved it. Like, okay, sure. I started keeping track of every little thing. I mean, I got obsessive with it. Every time she bought something, every weird charge. Every time her mom sent her some meme about finding a real man. Yeah, I saw her phone once, sue me. I screenshotted the bank app, made a spreadsheet, the whole thing. I'm not a genius, but I know when I'm getting played, and this was starting to feel like a setup. So I stopped playing nice. First step, I changed all my passwords. Every single one. No more sharing the streaming stuff. No more letting her use my main email for shopping. I didn't even tell her. Then I stopped paying for stuff that wasn't mine. Like, she wanted some new headphones. Nope, not my problem. Her mom needed a ride to the airport? I said I was busy, which was true for once. I started eating out more, stopped stocking the fridge with all her niche vegan snacks. It was petty, but I wanted her to feel it. She noticed, obviously. One night we got into it over some delivery order. She wanted sushi. I said I'd already eaten. She called me selfish. I told her I was done being her doormat. She tried to slap me. I caught her wrist and told her to back off. She slammed her bedroom door, and that was that. Slept in separate rooms after that, which was honestly the best sleep I'd had in months. Now here's where it gets kinda wild. I started talking to my parents about everything. I know. Most people don't want to drag their family into it, but I figured I'd need backup. My dad, Otto, is old school. Not big on feelings, but once I told him what Kylie's family said about me, he just kinda grunted and said I should have tossed them out years ago. My mom, Stella, was more complicated. She always liked Kylie at first, but lately she kept asking why I seemed so tired all the time. When I finally told her the truth, she was furious. Said she wanted to call Marjorie and give her a piece of her mind. I told her to wait. I wanted to do this myself. So I started making things awkward for Kylie in ways she couldn't ignore. Like one night her parents invited us over and I just said no. She made a scene. Said I was embarrassing her. And I said maybe I didn't want to spend time with people who thought I was worth more dead than alive. She looked at me like I'd stabbed her or something. And then she called her mom right there and started whining about how I was acting crazy, whatever. But then her mom tried to text me saying I needed to apologize and be a better husband. I just left her on read. Stanley tried to call me. I declined every time. Kylie got so mad she threw her phone at the couch and yelled that I was ruining everything. I told her I was just getting started. I started talking to friends. Just casual stuff, not oversharing, but enough that people started asking if things were okay at home. I said honestly not really, but I'm working on it. People are nosy, and I wanted the word to get out that things were changing. I deleted all the photos of me and Kylie from my socials, changed my relationship status to "it's complicated," and stopped tagging her in anything. She noticed, obviously. She started posting cryptic memes about fake people and knowing your worth. I started laughing every time I saw one. One weekend, my dad came over to help me fix the garbage disposal, which Kylie had managed to clog with kale stems. Don't ask. And Kylie came home while we were elbow deep in the sink. She tried to act nice for about 2 minutes, then started picking at me in front of my dad. Little stuff about how I never finish anything, how I pretend to be handy, how she wishes she'd married someone who actually knew what they were doing. My dad just looked at her, then at me, and said, "You know, some people are only happy when they're making someone else miserable." Kylie glared at him and left the house, slamming the doors so hard the picture frames rattled. After that, my mom called Marjorie. I didn't ask her to, but she did. Apparently, it did not go well. Marjorie told her I was unstable and lazy, and that Kylie deserved better than this mess. My mom told her she should be grateful her daughter even had someone who cared. I heard all this secondhand, but it got around fast. Suddenly, Kylie's family stopped inviting me to anything, and Kylie would come home muttering about how I was wrecking her social life. I said if her social life depended on pretending I didn't exist, then maybe it needed to be wrecked. So things escalated. She started trying to make me look bad to our mutual friends, texting them about how I was acting weird and withholding money. I just started sending people screenshots of our texts, nothing private, just enough to show who was actually being difficult. Most people just stayed out of it, but a couple told me to hang in there and that they'd seen the signs for a while. It wasn't fun, but it felt good to know I wasn't totally losing my mind. Then here's the kicker. I noticed our joint account had a bunch of random transfers going out, small ones, but regular. I asked Kylie. She blew up, said I was spying on her. I let it go for a few days, then checked again. She'd moved a bunch of money into some other account. Not ours. I confronted her. She screamed at me, tried to push past me in the hallway. I blocked her way and said I wanted answers. She slapped me. I didn't hit back, just told her I was done playing games. She called her mom on speaker and started crying about how I was financially abusing her. I just walked out, grabbed my keys, and drove around for an hour. I called my dad, told him what happened. He said, "You should have shut that joint account down the minute she started acting shady." He was right, so I did. Moved my half to my own account, set up alerts for every transaction. I told Kylie. She freaked out, said I was ruining her life. I said maybe she should have thought of that before she started treating me like an ATM. She slammed the bathroom door and screamed. So that's where I'm at. I'm not backing down. I'm making things hard for her, and she's not handling it well. Her family's pissed. My parents are in my corner, and now I know she's been hiding money. I don't know what her end game is, But I'm not waiting for her and her parents to pull the rug out from under me. Next step? Figure out where that money's going. I'm not stupid. I know there's more to this than just petty insults and drama. I want her to feel what it's like to be left out, to have no control. I'm not the failure they think I am. They wanted a fight. Now they've got one. If you're still reading, thanks. I know this is messy. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm not letting up. I'll update when I find out more. Suggestions welcome, honestly. I'm just getting started. Update 2. So update 3. And honestly, I didn't really plan on this blowing up, but here it is. Some of you are wild in the DMs, by the way, and I appreciate the chaos energy, but I'm not out here to get arrested. Just to make sure they feel it, you know? Anyway, if you missed the first 2, quick recap. My wife Kylie and her parents, Marjorie and Stanley, called me dead weight, wished me dead for an insurance payout, and after years of biting my tongue, I decided I was done. Last post was about pulling back, going nuclear on the joint account, and making her life as inconvenient as I could without crossing any lines. Thing is, when you stop playing nice, you learn real fast who has your back and who's just around for the perks. It's wild how many people in your life are only cool with you when you're doing all the work. So after the bank account drama, Kylie started acting like I was some criminal mastermind. She kept telling anyone who'd listen that I was controlling and unstable. I barely spoke to her, just handled my own business and let her stew. There were little things at first, like she'd come home from her mom's and say stuff under her breath about how pathetic I was. She'd leave receipts from shopping trips out on purpose, like she wanted me to see what she was spending and get mad. Marjorie started sending me these bizarre texts about taking responsibility for my failures as a husband. I didn't respond to any of them, just left them on read or deleted them. Stanley tried to call my dad, which was honestly hilarious, because my dad just hung up. The best part was how fast Kylie and her parents started losing their cool the second I stopped paying for everything and doing all the husband stuff. Suddenly Marjorie's car needed new tires. Stanley needed someone to check out the backyard fence, and Kylie wanted me to fix her laptop for the 5th time this month. I just shrugged and said she could ask her dad, since he knew so much about real men. They didn't like that. Now, here's where it gets messy. I started making it clear to our mutual friends what was going on, not in some drama blast way, but just enough that people started asking questions. When someone would ask if we were coming to game night or whatever, I'd say, Kylie's busy with family, and I'm just doing my own thing for now. When they'd ask if everything was okay, I'd just shrug and say, depends on who you ask. People notice. They start to put things together. I didn't need to rant or send proof. Just let the silence do the talking. I could see on socials that Kylie was scrambling, posting those dumb cryptic memes about betrayal and knowing your worth. I stopped liking or commenting on anything of hers, which is apparently a big deal now. She started telling people I was emotionally abusive. Yep, projection much. And that, she was the victim. I didn't fight it online. But if someone asked me directly, I'd say, here's the deal. Caught her and her parents talking trash about me. Found her moving money out of our account. And honestly, I'm just tired. Most people get it. A couple of her friends unfollowed me, but that's fine. I didn't like them anyway. The real kicker, though, was when Marjorie tried to shame me at her little book club or whatever. She told everyone I was financially strangling Kylie and making her life hell. One of my friend's moms is in that group, and she texted me a screenshot of Marjorie's rant. I just said, thanks for the heads up, and let it sit. A few days later, Marjorie posted some long Facebook rant about toxic family members and how her daughter deserved better. My mom saw it and just laughed, then commented something like, everyone deserves respect in their own home. Marjorie blocked her. Honestly, the social stuff hurt Kylie more than me. She thrives on being the center of attention, and when people started distancing themselves, she freaked out. She started texting my friends, telling them I was dangerous and unstable. One of my buddies sent me a screenshot and said, dude, what the hell is this? I just told him the basics, and he said he'd seen the way she treated me for years, so much for her charm offensive. On the money front, I started digging into the transfers from the joint account. Took a bit, but I figured out she'd been moving cash into an account with her mom's name on it. I asked her about it, and she tried to gaslight me. Said I was imagining things, that it was for emergencies. I told her not to bother. I already moved everything that was mine, and anything she wanted to take she'd have to explain. She got so mad she tried to push me out of the way to get to my phone. I held my ground. She slapped me. I just said, "Keep your hands to yourself." She stormed into the bathroom and slammed the door. I started looking at everything we shared: bills, leases, subscriptions, stuff for the apartment. I stopped paying for anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. Canceled the gym, canceled the meal kits, canceled anything that had her name on it. I told her she could pay for her own stuff from now on, and if she needed help, she could ask her parents. Marjorie texted me, threatening to expose me to my family and friends. I told her to go ahead. I had nothing to hide. Stanley tried to show up at my place once, but I just told him to leave, or I'd call someone to remove him. He got in my face, tried to shove past me. I just stood there and told him if he touched me, I'd get a restraining order. He left, muttering under his breath. I started getting mail for stuff I didn't recognize: credit card offers, weird insurance ads. I started shredding anything that wasn't mine. Kylie started accusing me of sabotaging her credit, which was hilarious because she's the one spending all the money. I told her if she wanted to live like she was single, she could pay like she was single. She screamed at me one night, threw her keys at the wall, then called her mom and sobbed loud enough for the neighbors to hear. My parents have been more involved than I'd like, honestly, but I can't really blame them. My mom drops off food sometimes and just glares when Kylie's around. My dad just tells me to keep my head down and get through it. They're not perfect. My mom's always trying to fix stuff. My dad just wants things to go back to normal. But at least they have my back, so the pressure builds. Kylie's family is getting frozen out by their own social circle. People are starting to talk and it's not in their favor. Marjorie's book club is basically ignoring her. Stanley's golf buddies have stopped inviting him. Kylie's friends are split. Some are all in on the drama. Some have just gone quiet. I don't care either way. All I care about is making sure they don't get to walk away thinking they won. The wildest part? A few days ago, I got a message from one of Kylie's oldest friends. We're not close, but she said she's seen enough and wants to tell me something important about what Kylie's been doing with her parents. She said it could change everything if I'm ready to hear it. I said, yeah, I'm ready. So that's where I'm at. The screws are turning, and I'm not letting up. Not now, not after everything. I want her and her family to know what it feels like to lose control, to be the ones on the outside looking in. I'm not done yet. Next update will be after I hear what Kylie's friend has to say. If you're still with me, you already know it's about to get even messier. Final update. All right, here we go. The last one. I didn't really think I'd be writing this out, but after that last update, a bunch of people messaged me asking what happened with Kylie's friend and if I actually finished what I started. So yeah, here's how it went. Spoiler. It wasn't clean, it wasn't easy, and I'm not going to say I came out on top in every single way, but let's just say Marjorie and Stanley and Kylie are definitely not laughing now. So remember how I said Kylie's old friend messaged me? It wasn't just a throwaway thing. She was legit nervous about talking at all. We ended up meeting at a Starbucks across town because she said she didn't want anyone to see us together, which honestly made sense. Last thing anyone needs is Kylie's group chat spinning up a new rumor. Anyway, she gets right to it. She tells me Kylie and Marjorie were moving money for months, not just out of our joint account, but also out of this trust fund Marjorie set up for her own parents, supposedly to help pay for their care home bills. Apparently Kylie's been dipping into it for shoes, trips, and random crap she doesn't even use, and Marjorie was in on it. Stanley didn't even know, which made me laugh a little too hard. I think so now. I've got screenshots, bank statements, the friends' messages, all laid out. I sat with it for a day, just thinking. I could blow it all up, but I wanted them to feel it first, not just go nuclear and have it be over. I wanted them to sweat, so I started dropping hints first to Kylie. I asked her weird questions about her grandma's place, if she thought the bills were getting paid on time, if her mom had mentioned anything about the account. She got defensive instantly, tried to change the subject, said I was obsessed with money. I told her I was just curious since I noticed some weird activity on the joint account. She tried to laugh it off, but she slammed the bedroom door that night. Next step. Marjorie. I texted her, said I hoped she was doing okay, and that it must be stressful juggling so many family obligations, especially with all those bills and transfers to manage. She responded with this long-winded, passive-aggressive message about how she always takes care of her family, and I should worry about my own responsibilities. I said, sure thing. Just making sure no one's missing anything important since, you know, money can disappear fast. She left me on read. Stanley showed up at my place 2 days later, acting like he was going to scare me into backing off. He got in my face, started ranting about how I'd ruined his daughter's life and how I needed to be a man and walk away. I told him I knew about the trust fund and that maybe he should talk to his wife about where the money's really going. I've never seen the guy go so pale. He tried to grab my shoulder. I pushed his hand off, told him to get out or I'd call the cops. He cursed at me and left, slamming the door. So yeah, now it's game on. I told Kylie, flat out, that I was done pretending. I said she had two choices. We do this the quiet way or the loud way. She tried to play dumb, but I laid out what I knew about the money, about Marjorie using her own parents' fund, about how Stanley didn't know. She tried to slap me. I blocked her arm and told her to stop. She screamed at me, called her mom on speaker, and started crying that I was threatening her. Marjorie got on the phone and started ranting. I just put the phone down and walked out the next day. I sent an email to Kylie and Marjorie. Copied Stanley. I laid out every transfer, every transaction, every screenshot. I told them that unless we reached an agreement on the divorce, one where I kept the apartment, kept my car, and they didn't touch another cent of my money, I'd send everything to Marjorie's parents and Stanley's brother, who handles some of their business stuff. Not that it matters, but he's the only one who might actually care. I told them I had no interest in going public or ruining anyone, but I wasn't going to let them walk all over me. Kylie tried to bluff, said she'd get a lawyer and take me for everything. I said, go for it, but you might want to worry about your mom before you start playing tough. Marjorie called me screaming, said I was blackmailing her. I said, call it whatever you want, but I'm done playing nice. She hung up. The next week was just chaos. Kylie would go from sobbing to screaming to silent treatment, sometimes all in the same hour. She threw her keys at the wall, slammed doors, tried to guilt-trip me about destroying her family. I told her she should have thought about that before she decided I was worth more dead than alive. She slapped me again. I told her if she touched me again, I'd get a restraining order, and she could explain to her dad why she can't visit his grandkids anymore. Her family basically went into lockdown. Marjorie stopped posting on socials. Stanley stopped showing up to his usual poker nights. Kylie kept trying to act like she still had the upper hand, but I made it clear. I wasn't moving out. I wasn't giving up the car, and I wasn't paying for any of her mess. I filed the paperwork, got the account split, and made sure every single receipt was logged. Her parents tried to rally a couple of their old friends to shame me into backing down, but all it did was get people talking even more. Some people cut me off, but honestly, most just shrugged and said it sounded like a mess and kept their distance. My parents were awkward about the whole thing. My mom tried to make peace. My dad just said to keep my head down and finish it. By the time the divorce was finalized, Kylie was out of the apartment and back with her parents, and Marjorie's family was blowing up group chats asking where the money went. Stanley barely spoke to me when we saw each other at the storage place. He just grunted, loaded his boxes, and left. Kylie tried to start drama about who got the couch. I told her to take it and left her to argue with the movers. So that's it, I guess. No big gotcha moment, no movie ending, but they're stuck cleaning up the mess they made, and I'm not apologizing for any of it. Kylie's blocked, Marjorie's family is in shambles, and Stanley's just pissed at everyone. I see my parents a little more now, but it's still weird. Like everyone's waiting for the next shoe to drop. I can't say I'm happy exactly, but I'm not the joke anymore. And if they ever thought I was going to just slink away and let them keep walking over me, well, I hope they enjoy explaining to the rest of their family why there's suddenly a lot less money in the trust fund. So yeah, that's the update. If you ever find yourself wondering if it's worth fighting back, it is. Just be ready for the mess, because it gets ugly fast. But at least I can look in the mirror now and not see someone waiting for permission to exist thanks to anyone who actually read this far. Guess I'll see what life looks like when you stop letting people decide your worth for you.